Hello, comic book fans, and welcome back to another Fundamentalist Fails. It's Friday, and that means the fails are on. Redundant title. Hey, Victoria, good to see you. I hmm? So this is a video with Joe Kirby, who I've done before on this channel, and I think he's hilarious. This video isn't particularly long, so this might be a shorter one. I apologize, everybody. I kind of came across it, and it's just the most bizarre rants from this man. I don't know what attracts me to it. Just before we get started, I just want to give a big hello to everybody, and I want to say I actually got a response to one of my fundamentalist fails. So there was a gentleman by the name of Yalbro who responded to me. So next week I'm going to be doing the response to his response to me. So there's a few things I've got to clear up. There's an apology. I got something wrong in it, but it should be fun to do a response to. So he said it was fun. Maybe I can interest him in a debate. Don't know, but that's going to be next week. But this time it's definitely Christians getting upset about the weirdest things, like the strangest things. I don't know why. Now, if you're unfamiliar, Joe Kirby is or Curbs as I call him occasionally when I'm feeling kind of, little facetious. Hey, Michael, good to see you. And Barnaby, good to see you. Curbs, he has a weird way of talking, and he gets upset about the strangest things, sort of the strangest stuff. I don't know if anybody else has a sort of comic book background. I like comic books and superhero films. I wasn't really a huge comic book nerd as a child. I certainly read more than a few, but I wasn't like a huge collector. I had friends that were massive collectors of comic books, and they were huge collectors. I wasn't. I was sort of more into I was a Dungeons and Dragons nerd, not a comic book nerd, but I do like them. So seeing Curbs get upset about this is kind of hilarious to me. It really is. It's so making something out of literally nothing. But there might be spoilers, I guess, maybe light spoilers. I don't know. I haven't seen the movie that he's getting upset about. So yeah, there may be spoilers, there may not be. I don't know. But I really would like to share this with you. I'm also trying to get a debate organized for tomorrow. I will let you know in the community tab whether that goes through or not. It's probably going to be a flat earth debate, but I've heard very little, so I don't have a huge amount of confidence. But we'll see how we go. And I do want to keep doing the live debate things. I thought that was really fun last time. People seemed to enjoy being in the chat while I did debate, and I think it was a good time. So I want to try and keep that up. So yeah, there is that. So let's go to the video. If everybody is good, let's get it rolling. So this is yeah, and so Joe Kirby's he's an English apologist slash content creator. He has two channels going, one with over 1 million followers, and the other more doing personal stuff with at least, I think, 175,000. So he's a huge sort of name in the sort of YouTube sphere. I believe he's off the curb. Yeah, no, he's up to 2.47 million followers, and this is sort of why the sort of doomsday, doom and gloom, the end is nigh kind of stuff is what he kind of does, and I want to, his stuff is all very the same. It's just pointing out things and then conspiracy stuff. It's all very sensationalist, but this is hilarious, and I find this actually funny. So let's start it.
It may be too late for some of you, but for those of you who haven't,
maybe too late. So Wolverine 1995. So this is something from my childhood. Absolutely, this is the X-Men. This is the X-Men cartoon that was on. Which was fantastic. Loved it. I used to watch it all the time, the X-Men cartoon. Storm, Beast, Cyclops, Jean Grey, Wolverine, of course, Logan. Gambit was in it with an appalling sort of Quebecian accent. It Yeah, I did like the Nightcrawler arc. Yeah, Reed, I totally agree. I did like the Nightcrawler arc, though. It was kind of, I liked the friendship between Nightcrawler and Logan in that cartoon. But the Sentinels were good. It had Genosha, it had Magneto. It wasn't that bad. It was actually a really good cartoon. Jubilee was probably the worst character in it. Everybody hated her because she was sort of like you've got Storm controlling the weather, and Professor X reading people's minds and controlling them, and Logan, who's basically indestructible, like Wolverine, that's basically indestructible, and then you have a girl that can shoot very small fireworks from her fingers. It just seems like somebody isn't pulling their weight in the team. I know she was young, and it wasn't her fault. Jubilee, though, she used to occasionally short out electronics. Okay, that's why everyone hated her, because she was kind of, I don't know. I felt like she was just a rescue token in some parts, rescue token. But anyway, I loved the cartoon. I thought it was fantastic. Quality story. Yeah, well, they just took it from the comments. A little lazy in places. Yeah. Oh, well, Hanna-Barbera, that closed down. Johnny Quest, I never saw Johnny Quest. I think maybe that was an American thing. I'm not sure. I never saw it. I'm sorry, Rembrandt. So I couldn't confirm or deny that. But this is sort of the Wolverine, and as I said, there might be light spoilers. I haven't seen it, but can you guess what their problem's going to be as we see somebody nailed to an X? Does anyone know what the Christian's issue is going to be? X-Men 97? What's X-Men 90? I don't know what this is. What's X-Men 90? Is that the cartoon that we're talking about? Is that what it's called? I don't know. It was just X-Men on our thing. Yeah, that's it. That's the cartoon. I didn't know it was called X-Men. As far as I knew, it was just called X-Men the Animated Series, as far as I knew. X-Men 97. Oh, I thought that was just a continuation of the animated show. Okay, well, there you go. Learn something new every day. I do know that they made an Iron Man like anime, and that was pretty bad. It picks up. Oh, okay, gotcha. Well, yeah, no, I'm sure I saw that. I'm sure I saw that. Hmm. But thank you, Reed. I appreciate it, mate. No, really good cartoon. And so if you're unfamiliar with why X-Men was such a beloved franchise, it really, so basically, in one part of Deadpool, they joke about it, that it's a lightly veiled reference to racial segregation. That's essentially it. That is X-Men in a T, and I really love that they referenced that in one of the Deadpool movies, because that's basically what it is. It's basically saying, hey, these people are different. They should be kept apart from society. We should get tabs on them. They should not have rights like the rest of us, kind of thing. It really was and don't forget when the X-Men was created. It was created in the time of real racial segregation. So a lot of the reasons why people find it so beloved is because it did address some of the problems at the time, like racism in America and around the world. Let's face it, it's not just confined to America. So yeah, really, it was really forward thinking. It really was cutting edge of its time, kind of thing. And Marvel has always been that kind of real cutting edge of you know the social issues, essentially. They had gay and bi characters. in very, very early on, they had characters that sort of left home and characters that sort of pushed back against sort of social expectations. It really was this sort of really fringe thing that came along. And yeah, so when was it created? 70s, right? No, 63. Initially cancelled in 70 due to low sales. Okay. 63. So it really was um a sort of, 60s is when sort of the real I mean, it was after Jim Crow, but we really still had racial segregation in that time, both in America and Australia, absolutely. And I think that sort of, the things like that did a lot to help. Um, America, black president; UK, all white president. Yes, Exy Music, correct. Um, but you can also say America, all male prime ministers; UK has multiple women prime ministers, or male presidents. So yeah, I think it's time for a. I think it's time for a female black president. To be honest with you, just saying, just saying. Okay.
Do not go and watch this movie. Deadpool and Wolverine.
Do not go and watch this movie, Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, I don't. Okay. Does anyone like the Deadpool? I like the Deadpool series. I thought that the second one was pretty good. I thought that the first one was fantastic. Like, it was great. Obviously, it's adult content. Don't take your kids to see it. It's not a kids' movie. But what do you think the problem's going to be?
Have just made over $1 billion and have broke many different records in the movie world. Why? Because the evil.
Why? Because people like the franchise and it's probably a good film. What's it got on IMDb? Actually, I did not look this up. I've really been a bit lax. Or Rotten Tomatoes maybe is a better. So the reason why Rotten Tomatoes is a good sort of overview, especially the critic versus the popular vote, is because they're amalgamation. They're sort of meta voting. It's kind of like they will do percentages based upon the amount of critics giving them plus and minuses. Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah, so it's got like 78% critic score and 94 what they call the popcornometer, the sort of audience score. So it seems like it's a pretty good movie. That's why people are seeing it, and the franchise is very, very beloved. Like, we can have a talk about movies and why people go to see franchises, even though the movies are terrible, kind of thing. Oh, look, Reed, I think Ryan Reynolds is the only version of the character ever put to film. They did have, I do remember there was a Deadpool in a Spider-Man cartoon at one point. They put him in there. Deadpool was never my favorite character, but Ryan Reynolds doing Deadpool, incredibly entertaining, and some of the jokes are really, really good. I love the fourth wall breaks. I love the dark humor to some of it. I thought that the first two were incredibly entertaining. I didn't have a problem with them. Did not have a problem with them in the slightest. So I don't. So Curbs obviously is going to berate on something stupid here. So prepare yourselves.
One saw something he liked in that movie and pushed it out to the masses. So what could be so?
So it isn't because of the marketing. The how much did they spend on it? I wonder. It wasn't the marketing. It wasn't spending like millions creating this film. How much did they spend on it? Is my question. What was the budget for it? Hold it, I'll quickly find this. Or not. Please tell me the budget. Opening day it made 96 million. Okay, that's in Canada and US. I don't see. It recovered from its budget in just 2 days. Okay, so it was a couple of 100 million is what it cost to produce. Budget 200 million. Yeah. Okay, so it basically cost 200 million to make. So you're assuming it's not because of that. And in spite of all of that, in spite of it being a beloved franchise, the X-Men is a beloved franchise, whether you like it or not. That doesn't matter. It just is. Okay. A very successful previous 2 movies in this franchise, 200 billion spent on the making of it, probably millions spent on marketing. You think the devil was involved and that's the reason why it got so popular. Okay, so what does that say about Passion of the Christ? Was that done by the devil? I would love to know, because that was incredibly popular as well. You know, that Mel Gibson film about the torture and death of Jesus, like it's really weird.
Bad that people would walk out after the first 20 minutes, and many Christians are now saying they will forever boycott the Marvel movies. This is what was so bad.
Did they blank out his nipples and the wounds? Okay. They nailed him to a cross. So what? Well, it's not even a cross, actually. It's an X. So this is the thing that do Christians have like this? They basically say, well, anytime anybody is crucified, which was a very common torture back in ancient Rome. Like there were 2 other people crucified on the same hill as Jesus, according to the story. 2 thieves, or depending on the book you read. One says there was a thief, and one says there were 2 thieves. So that varies a little depending on which gospel you're reading. But there's other people, and the Romans had been doing this for ages. So why do you get a monopoly on any kind of crucifixion whatsoever? Because yours is the most famous one? Okay. So nobody else can, and this isn't even on a cross, it's on an X. So this is actually a callback to, if you ever saw the movie Logan, which was interestingly enough, that was when Hugh Jackman, who's an awesome bloke. He's fantastic. I like Hugh Jackman. He seems like a real great guy. He sort of hung up his claws, as it were. He said that was the last time. But, I don't know what kind of dump truck full of money they drove up to his place, but obviously he wanted, I imagine a lot of it was to do with the money, but probably he did want to give the fans sort of, Deadpool and Wolverine together, which is nice, caters to the fans, but it probably didn't hurt that he got a ton of money for this. I would like to know what he was paid, to be honest with you. But, out of all the people in Hollywood, Hugh Jackman's an odd one because he really started off in kind of he's a theater kid, right? So those sort of musicals and stuff, he did Greatest Showman because he loves musicals, loves to do the stage singing kind of thing. So Hugh Jackman's kind of this pretty innocuous influence. He's nice to everybody. He doesn't seem to have a huge ego about it. I don't have a problem with Hugh Jackman. He's absolutely fine. Everybody that works with him says that he's a really nice guy. What are you supposed to say about the guy? I remember seeing this video of Hugh Jackman, and he recognized his sports teacher when, like, he was on a red carpet and someone came up and did a sort of an interview and said, "Oh, you probably don't remember me." And apparently he did, and it was his sports teacher from years and years ago when he's at school. Like, this is a guy that remembers, his teachers from school and will talk with them and just interact with them. I mean, what a nice guy. maybe that was the devil's work. I don't know. But this is a throwback to Logan, where when Logan died, they put a cross, like a grave marker, and X13, the young girl in it, who's supposedly made from his DNA, it's basically his daughter figure, goes and turns it sideways so it's an X, so the cross becomes an X, rather than say, hey, we love Christianity, we love the X-Men kind of thing. So that's a callback to this, to that, where they've been doing that. I don't see the big deal in it. It's not. What's the issue?
I am Marvel Jesus. And then notice this, that big...
Okay, so is Deadpool the Jesus, or is Wolverine the Jesus? Is Deadpool, or because if Deadpool's Marvel Jesus, then he should be the one on the cross, but he's not. So it's almost like they're not actually referencing anybody. And you know, I think half the reason they made that joke was to offend the Christians, because it's just so damn funny. You know, if you're Marvel Jesus, what's the big deal? It's a Marvel universe. It's not real. Deadpool doesn't exist. No one thinks that Deadpool is Jesus. It's really, really weird that you have this comedy character in a fantasy setting. Everybody knows there's no such thing as mutants, right? There's no such thing. And he says, I'm Marvel Jesus. I don't know why he said it. Maybe it's because Deadpool has a habit of being killed and then his mutant power regenerates him back to life. I don't know. It's not real. Nobody actually thinks that.
Hill of Skulls is no accident. Jesus Christ, the location where he died on the cross, was called Golgotha.
Yeah, and that's the original comic. Let's see. Yeah, so it was Uncanny X-Men. 1989 is when it was originally drawn, right? So what are we talking about here? What are we talking about here? We're talking about, what, 10, 30 years ago? 35 years ago? I mean, seriously, 35 years ago. They're referencing something from then, and you've got a problem with it now? It's ridiculous. Like, they're just referencing an old comic.
And that can be translated to mean the place of the skull. My dear friend, wake up. There is an agenda against the Son of God, and you need to know that Marvel Jesus will not save you. The only...
No, I really thought that Deadpool would save me when I die. Yes, that's exactly what I thought, Kirby. That's exactly what I thought. Oh, really? This imaginary fictional character won't save me when I die? What? Does anybody really think that? That Marvel Jesus is going to... that Deadpool is going to save you when you die? This is... Yeah, I hate to break the news, Kirby, but nobody thinks that Marvel Jesus is going to save you. Nobody. It's made up. This is ridiculous. Like, so it's important to understand he isn't talking to, say, me, who's an atheist who watches Deadpool. That's not what he's talking about. He's talking to his followers who would like to think that we believe in these imaginary characters for some reason. Probably because they believe in imaginary characters. You know, if we believe in imaginary Jesus, everybody does. It's just your Jesus is Deadpool. No, that's made up. That's not real. But he's not talking to me or you. He's talking to his sort of millions of followers who want to believe that we actually think that this is a substitute for Jesus. I mean, come on.
Jesus who will save you is the true Son of God who died on that cross for you. In a million years' time, Wolverine Marvel will be forgotten, but
How do you know? How do you know? Look, the rate they're making money, you know, absolutely, it'll probably go old and go away. But you know, in a million years, Wikipedia might still be there and have the X-Men in it. It might not be forgotten. In a million years, Christianity might end as well. The rate which we're going, but that doesn't make it real. You know, it's just an intellectual property. It's a story. So when we talk about stories, there's certain archetypes we go in for. One of them is the hero's journey. It's an archetype for a story. I don't know if you've ever heard of this archetype. I learnt about it through my wife, who is a writer. It's the man of a thousand faces, the hero's journey. There's a lot of names for it. A really good writer called Dan Harmon went a lot into this archetype and why it's so successful. It is the journey of the every person basically to they meet somebody who guides them and they have this story going on, and it's a very very powerful archetype. But that's not to say that every story with this archetype is going to be around, but the archetype still will be. It sort of speaks to us a lot. It says something about our own lives where we get information from others. Yeah, that's true, Reed. Absolutely true. The Monkey King. Yeah, that's a very, very ancient Chinese mythology from way back.
Jesus Christ will still be sitting on the throne, and that is why you should take sides with him and not some silly little comic book.
This is what absolutely fascinates me about this man. Does he really think we're like, no, I am giving my soul to Wolverine? Like, what? I don't, you know, it's so. Let's talk about why people enjoy these movies. It's because it's escapism. It really is escapism. It's just these worlds and these fantasy things, they're just enjoyable. You know, you go and you watch a movie because it's a sort of escape from the mundane world. Most of my favorite movies are escapism, like, you know, Inception and Interstellar and you know, all of these movies, they're just an escapism. And the fact that they're just funny, you know, if you don't have your sense of humor surgically removed by your pastor, they are really funny, like incredibly funny. And half the time, they're making fun of themselves. They're self-deprecating, which is something. Do we ever see self-deprecating from the religious people? Do we ever see them have a sense of humor? I think about their own beliefs, kind of thing, their own thing. You know, I think the Christians that I get along well with, I think that they are self-deprecating. I do like them when they can at least poke fun at their own beliefs, kind of thing. This whole seriousness over my beliefs, I don't know. Sorry, Deviant says, yeah, not everyone believes imagination creates reality. Yeah, it's weird, isn't it? It's very, very strange. I don't get it, Deviant. I really don't. Hercules, Gilgamesh, and Enkidu. Yeah, Enkidu. Yeah, absolutely. I know Hercules is one. I mean, they have Thor in there as well. You know, we're still talking about Thor. Maybe Thor will outlast Jesus. I mean, we've got Thursday, right? That's Thor's day. So if you're basing the truth of your belief on whether or not it's remembered, well, Woden and Thor are being remembered every single week. And I don't see a Marvel Jesus movie, you know, Yeshua. I think I remember I think I remember um somebody did a stand-up about if Jesus joined the Avengers kind of thing. I think it was Patton Oswalt, who's incredibly funny. You know, like Jesus is like, well, you know, I can feed lots of people. You know, you know, he would never get into the X-Men because his powers aren't good enough, basically. But no one thinks these powers are real. Like the Deadpool movie said, it's a veiled reference for racism in the 60s. That's what it is. And some of their main characters are, you know, sort of vilified and made to feel bad. That's what's entirely what it's about. You follow the Sentinels, it's about tracking these mutants and keeping them in check. Isn't religion something? Yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. And it's very strange because you expect your escapism to be taken seriously by everybody. Well, no, unless you can actually demonstrate that it's real. But we know this isn't real. It's fine.
If you agree with this message and you want to hear more about Jesus when you open this app, please do subscribe.
Yeah, I'd rather not. And this is how Joe Kirby got his start, is by standing here and preaching. And we'll go into a bit of it later where he kind of, you can see the way that his YouTube channel has sprung out of his preaching, where he stands around on a street and tells people they're going to hell and tries to scare them. All of his stuff is based around fear. And it's important to remember that. His message is be afraid. Be very afraid, for the end is nigh. He's really a terrible preacher and a terrible person, because all he's trying to do is make his audience incredibly afraid. You know, all of these things. The Olympics are the devil. The movies are the devil. These actors are the devil. It's just satanic panic is all it is. And we've got to call this out. No, nobody's worshipping these characters. Nobody's worshipping the devil.
But I hear what you say. Christians can't even take a joke. It's not even meant to be Jesus. It's just an X, like X-Men, and it was taken from a very old comic book series many, many years ago.
Yes, it was. Many, many years. 35 years ago. 35 years. So, when it was made, which was the late 80s, 89, I believe I said. So you've got to understand the context. So when we say that the X-Men is a lightly veiled reference to current social issues, was there anything happening in the 80s that was a social issue that they may have wanted to comment on? Okay, so think about this. The late 80s, right? What was around in the late 80s that there were problems with? Dungeons and Dragons, things like metal bands, right? So it went from rock and roll to metal and death metal and thrash and all of these really heavy metal bands. What was going on at the time that they may have wanted to make a social reference to? Well, it was the Satanic Panic. So yeah, it was a reference to that, sure. Because that's what the X-Men has always been about. Veiled commentary on social issues. But, you know, they brought it back because this was such a famous cover. But is it a joke? Yeah, kind of. Is it poking fun at Christians? I think a little bit, but not really. It's just using the... So when you're talking about art, you're talking about imagery that evokes emotions, an emotive response. So this links an emotive response with their cover. It's not so much trying to say, hey, all Christians bad, or this is, you know, this is the new Jesus. It's trying to say, hey, religion has problems. That's a very good comment, Reed. That's a very good comment. Magneto, yeah. Yep. And Magneto famously was a Jewish guy that was... So Reed brings up a good point. Magneto was a character who was Jewish in the concentration camps, and he had a massive problem with the Nazis, basically, and the way that they experimented on him and his, you know, sort of, they killed his mother and locked them up in concentration camps. So a Jewish character, but he blamed all of humanity for it, and it's kind of that it's kind of that story of if you're put through trauma, you sometimes end up becoming what you hate, because his methods to save mutants became almost fascist, basically. So it's a really interesting sort of commentary on the survivors of trauma becoming the abusers, kind of thing. Really fascinating stuff. Reagan meets the Iron Lady in England. Okay. Ruth, this crap's been going on since Kings in Satan's services. Yeah, it's satanic panic. Like, that's something I've noticed about most religions. They pump the fear, like fear this, fear that, and I don't think enough about the social fallout is sort of pointed to. It's really not pointed to. You have them pumping fear about what Planned Parenthoods do, and people go out and they take action against Planned Parenthood, which is horrible. They pump fear about, I mean, like you see Trump's latest thing, the fear about Haitians. Now, I've heard that the Haitian alliance in Springfield, where this was claimed to have happened by Trump and his allies, are now suing him for the horrible treatment legally immigrant Haitians are getting in the city. They're afraid. They're so scared because, you know, it's being told that they're stealing people's pets. If somebody's pet goes missing and you're a Haitian in Springfield, and it was interesting because I was watching a thing on why those Haitians are there. The Haitians are there because a while ago, Ohio did this rejuvenation of the economy, and they didn't have the workers to support it. So they invited the Haitians to Springfield. They invited them there. Please come over here and settle here. And so now it's just really weird. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. She found it hiding in her. Yeah. And she just blamed her neighbors, you know, and regrets doing so. But it doesn't matter now because they're running with it. It's something they can run with. And they don't care about the poor Haitians in Springfield who are being accosted. Yeah, Jack Kirby. If you don't know Jack Kirby, thank you, Jester. Jack Kirby was one of the original writers. So Stan Lee and Jack Kirby invented this. So, you know, he's doing the Kirby name a real disservice, in my opinion. I mean, what a jerk. Hey, Simos. Hey, Tux. Good to see you.
Go, that's where they got the idea from. Okay, then, I'll play ball with you for now.
Oh, you will? Awesome. That is literally where they got the idea from. That is literally, okay.
If it's not meant to be against Jesus, why didn't he say Marvel Buddha or Marvel Gandhi or any other religious figure?
Because Gandhi wasn't a supernatural figure. Buddha kind of was, but he didn't, like, there's only really one religion, or maybe two with Muhammad perhaps, that really says that their prophet is God, that centralizes everything around one figure. That's the thing you've got to understand. Like Hinduism, you can't really say that. And the movie was designed to be consumed by Western culture. And those other religions, they're not very big in Western culture. I think somebody did get compared to Gandhi, or somebody said they were Gandhi in one of the movies. Not 100% sure, but I mean, he said that he's like other people as well, you know, like and like I just, a lot of it is self-deprecating. Well, yeah, but as a central figure to a religion, I totally agree, Simos. But a central figure to a religion, Muhammad has got to be up there. You know, it really does.
Why is it always Jesus?
Because Jesus is the most popular. Christianity is the most popular religion in the West. It's not even close. Why? What? Why Jesus? Why not? Who else would we do?
Answer that question for me. Now, on a more positive...
Yeah, and plus you've got to consider Deadpool's powers. His power is to his power is to regenerate, basically. It's to his like Wolverine, he heals, basically. If you're unaware of this and been living under a rock, both Wolverine and Deadpool, their superpower is to heal. Basically, they heal themselves through regeneration. Now, there's a lot of humor in it about Deadpool not being able to die, especially in the second one. I haven't seen this one, but in the second one, there's a lot of stuff about sort of, Deadpool wanting to die and can't, because of his superpower kind of thing. So, this whole idea is that he can die and then he'll just come back to life. And that may be the assertion. I haven't seen this movie, so I can't say for sure, but that might be the connection they're making. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, look, I mean, I mentioned Thor. Thor was in the Avengers. I didn't see him complaining then. Like, why are you referencing Thor? I don't see him getting angry that it's like Friday today. It's Freya's day. I don't see him getting mad about that. We reference all kinds of things from all kinds of religions. It doesn't mean anything. Yeah, and you're right, Wayne. If God's got a problem, I'm pretty sure he can shut down the studio. I don't think it's a problem for him. But Disney, it doesn't even look like God can stop Disney at this point.
Positive note, you won't believe me, but I actually met Deadpool back in 2020.
I don't believe you. I don't think he met Ryan Reynolds. I know he didn't meet Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, I think Reed, I think they went into that in sort of the X-Men Apocalypse, I think, where sort of what was the name of that character? Was it Apocalypse? Was a sort of, the Egyptians thought he was a god kind of thing. So they kind of touched on that. And yeah, he would blow a fuse, quite frankly. He would blow a fuse. But I mean, they have the gods in there. They have like Thor and Odin and Freya and all of these Norse gods, who live in Asgard, of course. And I mean, where was his outrage on the Thor set of movies? So, it would be like a Norse person who still believes in Thor going, oh, they want you to believe that this is Thor, is not a god, it's just an alien kind of thing. It's a movie, dude. Relax. Yeah. Okay, that makes more sense. That makes more sense. Gotcha. Well, that's not really a spoiler. I got you. You're just explaining why. I got you. All the gods hang out, even Jesus. So, do you think? And here's a question. Maybe I should poll it. Maybe I should poll it. Because I don't know. I haven't done polls for a while. Do you think anyone would be happier if... Yeah, I'm going to do a poll, and the poll is about, a hypothetical. There you go. Vote on that one. Vote on that one, you mutant chat. Mystique is a pansexual trans woman. Yeah, kind of. Mystique's kind of, doesn't have an anything. It's she's just whatever she wants to be, which is really, really cool. Azazel was in the X-Men First Class storyline. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, just before I show you the footage of me debating with him and sharing the gospel with him, first, let's listen to how other people reacted to that very irreverent Wolverine scene.
This isn't going to be curated at all, by the way. He wouldn't just choose Christians' outrage and do that. Tia? I don't remember Tia. Was that in the Marvel thing, Andrew, or are you just talking the god Tia in general? Because I don't remember Tia in the Marvel movies as such.
Green scene.
We wrote this sort of Marvel Jesus bit in the movie, which is really just more of a way to illustrate Deadpool's own self-delusion.
Right. So they're basically mocking Deadpool for thinking he is some kind of messiah when he obviously is not. Can I just say right now, Deadpool is not the messiah. He is a very naughty boy. Yeah, it's canon until they retcon it, Reed. You wait. No, Deadpool is not. That's the whole point, is self-deprecating. And I think Ryan Reynolds spelled it out completely, like his own self-delusion. So Deadpool has delusions of grandeur, right? So what do I mean by that? Well, delusions of grandeur is when you think you're more important and more significant and more sort of central to everything. That's why he breaks the fourth wall, because he thinks he is the main character when often he's not. So they're really doing a deprecation here, and they just missed it.
See Deadpool, and we left probably about 25-30 minutes into it. It is so against the Lord.
It's so against the Lord. Okay. It's a movie. It's a movie. Yeah, I agree, Reed. I agree. I agree. He says a lot of stupid stuff.
I like the first 10 minutes. And my husband's like, Serena, just wait till they get to when Wolverine gets in the movie, it'll get better.
Yeah.
It didn't. I didn't even watch the whole thing. I had to stop watching it.
For him, the amount of times he called
I don't get, like, you're entitled to your opinion, of course. You're entitled to your opinion, but if you're sort of going, well, this movie, I don't like it because they reference my holy person, I don't know what to tell you. Like, seriously, I don't know what to tell you. It's just a movie. They're not actually making a commentary on Jesus. Unfortunately, that is often true, Ruth. I wouldn't say all Christians. I would say a frighteningly large amount of them, Ruth, and that's enough. I think that's enough. You're Norse, okay? You've got Scandinavian descent. Joke in the chat to make comment, Odin. Yeah, sure. Hey, like I said, if we're taking what we remember as what is true, like, he says 1 million years from now, I'm pretty sure that, the concept of, or the word Thursday is going to outlive Christianity. Yeah, Deviant is Swedish, I believe. I believe you're Swedish. Please do correct me if I'm wrong. And if you're Norwegian, I'm so sorry to mix you up with the Swedes, or, vice versa. I know that that's a sore point for people. I know that's a sore point for, it's like us and the New Zealanders, the Norwegian and the Swede, they hate to be, or the Americans and the Canadians, the US people and the Canadians hate to be mistaken for one another. So I really do apologize, Deviant, if that's what I've done. But I thought you were Swedish from memory.
Himself Jesus or you know, God, or made like a biblical type of joke. It just wasn't really funny. You know what I mean? Like a lot of the jokes, I think probably like,
well, it wasn't funny to you because you want to be offended by it. Okay, it didn't land for you. All right. But I don't think this outrage is whether or not it was funny. I think this outrage is they dare to compare somebody to Jesus, even in a self-derogatory or self-deprecating way. It's weird. Like, I don't think a Buddhist would be doing this if they said, hey, I'm the Marvel Buddha. Because Buddha has a sense of humor. But, you know, I think Christians need to get a sense of humor.
I probably heard maybe the crowd laughing me once or twice at some of those jokes.
It was more disrespect.
Once or twice. Okay, so the crowd laughed at the jokes. The reception from the Rotten Tomatoes seems to suggest that the crowd did like it. It's 90-something 7%. It's usually pretty, you know, I mean, I wouldn't say it's absolutely accurate to how good a film is, but I think it definitely is accurate to how popular a film is. And those things are not the same thing. How well done a film is and how popular it is are different things. Okay, yeah, no, I would never call you Danish, Swedish. That never, ever. I would never. I would give you a Danish if you were hungry. You know, I would do that, but I'd never call you Danish. That's just rude. You know what? Everybody wants that. Everybody wants it. Like, if they could, that would be amazing. You know, like, I'm for it. They're for it. Everyone's for it. What's the wait? What's the wait? It's you know, it's supposed to be happening for 2,000 years now. I'm not holding my breath, Ruth. Honestly, not holding my breath.
I thought it was gonna be Deadpool says, "I am Marvel Jesus. I am the Messiah." He keeps repeating it. He doesn't just say it once. He makes it clear, and they even put it in the trailer. That's how in your face they put it, and
it's not. It's just a joke. It's not in your face. Why is it every time that somebody has some kind of opinion that's not a Christian opinion, it's in your face? At the same time, they will literally be going out onto the streets with microphones and yelling at us. And that's fine. That's just preaching. That's what all Christians are called to do. But we make one joke or a few jokes in a movie, that's in your face. The lack of self-awareness of these people is horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. You know, no, what's in your face is the constant references in politics, in media, in every time you go anywhere. That's what's in your face. I don't.
how easily they can get away with it.
So, over to you.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure those were the only reactions you could find. Yeah, no, nobody else had any kind of opinion that the movie was really good and funny. Yeah, no, it was just outrage all across the board. Outrage. Nobody had any other opinion. Sure, Kirby, sure.
What do you think? Do you think these people are just overreacting?
Yes. Yes, I do. Absolutely, I do. 1,000% I do. Yes. Yes.
Do you think it will come to the point where Christians will literally have to boycott absolutely everything? Well, maybe. And I'll tell you why.
Oh, look, Spielcap, it is silly. Yes, it's very silly. It's incredibly silly. You know, I get you. It's not for everybody. That's cool. That's cool. But you know, he's calling on people to boycott this movie because Jeebus.
This world very quickly has moved further and further away from this book.
Yeah. Good. What's that book got in it that is so amazing that we need to be closer to it? Exactly. The slavery, the stoning people to death, the thought crime, the sort of saying that there's a special people who will get everything and the others will be tortured forever. The destruction of the world is a good thing. What exactly in that book is actually laudable? I mean, you could probably get laudable things out of it. I'm not saying it's all bad. It's just we don't have to go to the book. We can take on board what that book has got to say, along with very many other books written about how we ought to navigate through life and sort of use all of it. Why would we just go, okay, well, this book's the be all and end all? I don't understand that. Our ideas get better over time. And we don't stick to, oh, well, this person wrote this one thing and we should only take that. No, we take a lot on board. That's what we do.
It's moved further and further away from the scriptures. And while this world continues to distance itself from the God who created them, well, there might come a point when you and I as Christians have to distance ourselves from the world.
Well, it's interesting, Reed. Like, I mean, I played Dungeons and Dragons when I was a kid, and it was all about, you had the ideals of defeating evil and, saving the peasants and bringing equality to the village. And, there was an evil lord who was, all of this kind of stuff was the main thrust of D&D. I mean, later on, when I'd grown up a bit, you sort of, you have evil campaigns where you're doing the wrong thing or but when you're a kid, it's all those noble things. And then, not being raised in a religious household, I suddenly heard that it was all evil. And it just, like, it made no sense. Number one, it was just completely imaginary. Like, nobody thinks it's real. And number two, all of it was like helping the poor and healing the sick and all of this. Like, it was so weird. Like, to hear, oh, well, that's the devil's work. It's like, what? We're literally fighting devils in this adventure in D&D, and you're saying that's the devil. Okay. You're a priest of light, turning undead and stuff. That's the devil's work. Yeah, no, it sounds really nefarious.
And that might mean no more movies, no more Netflix, even no more social media if they block out the Christian voice, which could eventually happen to us all.
Block out the Christian voice. Block out the Christian. The Christians are so overrepresented with their voice in society. They have 24-hour television stations. They have tons and tons and tons of promotional material. They have pamphlets. They have all of this stuff. They are overrepresented by the amount of people in society that they actually follow their beliefs. They are overrepresented in politics for the amount of people in society. And somehow we're blocking out their voice. Ridiculous.
One day. Oh, my dear friends, what is the heart of the matter? The heart of the matter is these people are breaking the third commandment. The world right now loves.
Yeah, no one cares. No one cares, Curbs. Nobody cares. They don't believe in your religion. Why should we care? Why would we care? No one cares.
To break the third commandment. What is the third commandment? Exodus 20 verse 7 says, "You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain." What does that mean? It
says that you won't drop his name unnecessarily or attribute to things that aren't to him. It's very, very strange because people do it all the time.
means these people who love to laugh at the Lord Jesus Christ, these people who love to drag his name through the dirt, the Lord God will not hold that man, that woman, that director guiltless. Why? Because the Lord will have honor for his name.
Then why are you making this video? If you really believe that the Lord's going to correct everything and everybody that takes the Lord's name in vain is suddenly going to be punished out of the blue, then why are you actually doing that? Why does God, an omnipotent God, need your ass to come on YouTube and yell at everybody for it? What's the point? Oh, God's not going to hold you guiltless, but I'm going to come on here and tell you about it anyway, because God will do it sometime else. Yeah, after I'm dead, right? Yeah, after I'm dead, when nobody can really check, that's when it's going to happen. Do they have a hell pizza? I don't think so. Hot cross bun ads? No, I don't know what you're talking about. Hell pizza? What is hell pizza? I'm really curious now. Is that pizza with brimstone on or something? I don't know what hell pizza is. Apparently, they're in Australia. Hell pizza. Oh, there's only one store and it's across the country from me. It's in Brisbane. So no, they don't have it where I am, but apparently they have one store. There you go. Yeah, no, it's just Brisbane. It's just Brisbane. That's all it is. All it is. Hot cross buns, hell pizza. Okay. No, I'm down for it. Oh, nice. For a limited time, a bit like Jesus. So basically it's got a pentagram. Hang on a sec. So that's what it shows. Yeah, that's actually pretty impressive. I like it. That's cool. That's cool. Selling like hot buns.
And I'm telling you right now, we as Christians should be seeking the honor of the Lord God above everything else, above our entertainment, above our relaxation time. Everything should.
Really? Yeah, and this is the danger that we have, sort of God above all. Really? Above rights, above freedoms, above fairness, above equality, above democracy. I don't know. I don't think that sort of putting your God above everything is necessarily a healthy thing to do. I don't think that's healthy. I don't think that's good for you. But that's what religion does. It skews your perception of the world. What if God's not real? What then?
Go beneath that, and the Lord's name must be honored. Do you agree with that?
No, I completely disagree with that. Especially because there's people out there, like you assume that everybody should be doing this. And no, not everybody's doing this. No. I think that we should put ourselves, like humanity in general, as number one. I think that society should be up there. I think that you should take care of yourself. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. That is the fact of the matter. If you just try to rescue and do everything for everybody else without considering yourself and sacrificing yourself, you won't be able to help other people. And that's not to say that, hey, put yourself above everything, but there's some times where you have to prioritize yourself and your own well-being. Sorry, that's just the truth of the matter. And I don't think it's healthy to sort of say, hey, well, I'm going to put God above everything. including my family, my friends, my job, my beliefs, my rights, my freedoms. No.
Do you want to see the Lord's name honored? I'm ashamed to admit this, but many years ago, before I knew Christ, I took the Lord's name in vain.
Blasphemer! No, I don't care. I really don't. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care. You can, this sort of self-serving, oh, but I used to blaspheme as well. Join me. It doesn't matter. You weren't struck down for it. Neither was I. Jesus Christ, I'm not struck down for it. What is going on?
I would say, OMG. I would say, Jesus Christ, when I was surprised or upset. And my friends, that is a sin which the Lord God says you are guilty. I wonder, is there someone watching this video right now who is currently misusing the name of the Lord?
Jesus Christ, someone's misusing the name of the Lord. Look, I'm just hassling him now. Look, this is a Barnum statement, right? So he's kind of just using a statement that's going to apply to somebody. Somebody's going to be out there who's a Christian that is sort of like, oh, well, I said this thing in the past. I'm really guilty about it. Sort of the mediums and stuff do this all the time. Oh, there's a person in the audience who has lost someone whose name begins with A. No, then it's L. They kind of are similar. Oh, the L, yes, you. All of this is just a very vague statement intended to cause an emotional response in probably a lot of people. Probably almost all of his audience at some point in their lives would have taken the Lord's name in vain as defined by him. So all he's doing is just trying to prey on that. Not for Mockadam. Yeah, it is a fake cadence. And I have shown that in a previous episode. I sort of showed where he was just talking to somebody in an interview, and he doesn't talk like this. This is his spiel for the fear-mongering videos. He sort of and we kind of, I talked to a psychologist, Christopher Mowdy, who I've had on the show before. He's amazing. His speciality is olfactory psychology, but I had to talk to him, and he sort of said, yeah, it's kind of like that appearing knowledgeable cadence, like you would sort of talk to a child, like, we understand why this happens kind of thing. It's almost that soothing voice when somebody knows more than you. And that's why it comes off as patronizing, because he's kind of talking in a way that is trying to soothe you through your fears. But the only person causing the fears is him. Right? With all of this, God is going to have retribution. But don't worry, I've got your salvation. It's that kind of cadence. And that's why it's so irritating. Because the only person that we feel is actually trying to make us scared is him. And then he's trying to soothe you through it. It's so dishonest.
If that's you, and you haven't already, come to the cross. Come to the Lord Jesus Christ, the real cross of Christ, and ask for all of your sins to be dealt with and washed away. That's what Calvary was all about. And by the way, you know the name Calvary? That's actually the Latin word again for this word skull. It comes from calva. And again, because Jesus died at the place of the skull. So see him there, dying in this ugly place, this place of the skull. Why? Because our sin, our wrongdoing, the times we took.
Yeah, so all of this is sort of projecting guilt onto people. And then the soothing voice is, well, you're scared about your guilt. You're scared about all these things, but I have the answer for you. It's kind of like the way that you talk to a child. It's kind of like this, well, I know that you did the wrong thing, but it's okay. There is no, it's just fear-mongering. That's all it is. That's all it is.
The name of the Lord in vain. It was so ugly. And so God had to pour out all of his wrath, and all of our sin was dealt with there. So please, please, whoever you are, if you've not yet come to Calvary, let the Lord Jesus Christ wash away all of your sins, cleanse you and forgive you, and give you a fresh start. Now, here's the part you've all been waiting for. Here is my...
Yeah, this is not what I've been waiting for, but, you know, go ahead. Does anyone want to see if he... and I'll do the poll. He would be angrier? Yeah, I kind of agree, to be honest with you. Yeah, I kind of agree. Is that Skull? Bill Cap? Skull. Nice. You know, I can show you a video of him talking normally. He has just a normal channel where he just sort of, you know, talks about his life and stuff, his mundane non-pastor life, and he just talks normally. Yeah, okay. Give me a sec. I'm sure I got something somewhere. That's Joe Kirby. I'm not sure that's the right one. Give me one sec. He did do an interview where I saw him. It's probably the best one. I can't remember who interviewed him though. I think it was it Ray Comfort? He really likes Ray Comfort. I don't know why. No, I can't find it. There was an interview of him. Can't I find this? Give me 1 second. Sorry, I do apologize. I did find it a while back. Hmm. Um, all right, give me a sec. I'm gonna have to check my download schedule. I'm sure I downloaded it, but I can't seem to find it. He wouldn't have took it off, would he? No, it was before this. So we definitely did an interview, and I thought it was with Ray Comfort. I thought so, but I can't be sure. It was with somebody sort of bigger than him, but I can't remember who it was. And just to hear the difference was just really incredible. Uh, yeah, I can't find it. This is kind of frustrating. Give me a sec. I'm gonna look on his channel. Search for interview. He might have taken it down. He might have actually taken it down. I don't know. That's weird. I definitely did find it a while back. That's odd. Yeah, no, there's nothing for it on his channel anymore. Okay, that's weird. That is so weird. Well, I do apologize, everybody. I will search for it. Maybe I can find it in the meantime. That is strange, to say the least. To say the least. Thought I had downloaded. Well, maybe I didn't. It was definitely in my first video of him because he talks so strangely. Let's see. It was in. Hmm. No, I can't see it. Sorry there, peeps.
Rather interesting dialogue with Deadpool.
Show them love. They will receive love.
Yeah, so you're saying just preach the love of Jesus, okay? Yes. Yeah, okay, but don't tell them about their sin. But why?
This is him apparently. You know that's not Deadpool. I don't, I don't even know. Like, I assume that he's being sort of tongue in cheek and saying, "Oh, I debated Deadpool." But it's sometimes hard to tell. That's not actually Deadpool at all. Deadpool's not real. I hope he knows this.
Where is it that we see that God demonstrates his love for us? How do we see that?
We see it through spreading his word of love, not his word of anger.
But why is
once you talk about sins, it just gets the mindset of people about anger. When you talk about love, when you talk about heaven to them, they will love it way much more than hearing about hell.
Yeah, so Deadpool apparently has an issue, or this sort of Deadpool actor who he's just doing his thing. He's just doing his thing. He's sort of saying, hey, if you preach about love, because Kirby, what you've got to understand about this guy is that all he does is sort of preach fear and the end and that kind of fire and brimstone, sins and sort of shame and guilt and all of these horrible things. So apparently Deadpool has a problem with it. That Deadpool's saying, hey, you shouldn't preach about sins and preach about horrible things and hate, which maybe he's got a point.
Hell is fearful. Heaven is beautiful. And talking about hell will make people get towards heaven. Not really much. But if you talk about heaven, people will get unconsciously walk towards heaven.
I agree. I want to preach heaven. I want to preach the love of God more than the judgment. There is a hell. There is a very real hell, and all of us are going. Yeah, but can I just say this? What concerned me more than anything is when you said, "Don't mention sin." Now, the only way that we know that God loved us is because Jesus Christ died on the cross for our sins.
Yeah, so Deadpool's basically saying, "Hey, you're bumming everybody out, dude. You're bumming everybody out with your sin talk." Yeah, I think Deadpool is he an atheist? We don't know. No, this is unknown. Unknown.
God is not going to see my good sides and stuff, then he's not a good God.
Well, let me tell you this. It's not like scales. It's not about you've done so many good works and you've done that. God's standard is perfection. And you and I, we can never ever meet that. But this is the good news. And this is why I think you're smiling behind that mask there, DP. Here's the good news. Jesus Christ on the cross bled and died for sinners. The worst of you was...
No, I feel like the people walking past are like, this is the worst Marvel movie ever. This is terrible. This is absolutely terrible. Yeah, no, I know that. I know that, but maybe he's not, because he knows full well that gods exist. I mean, can you be an atheist in the Marvel universe if you're very aware that gods and the Celestials exist, kind of thing? Can you even be an atheist? Like, because the Celestials are technically gods, presumably.
Laid on Jesus Christ, and if you receive him, DP, the best of him can be given to you as a gift, so you can be clothed in the righteousness of God. And here's the good news: it's a one size that fits all. Whether you're a big sinner or a little sinner, Jesus' righteousness can clothe you and make you seem perfect in God's eyes. So God doesn't see DP in the wrong things he's done. He sees the righteousness of God, and if you receive him, he promises to forgive you and anyone who hears this and wash you white than snow. DP, it's been great. Come here, give me a hug, man. Yeah, great to chat.
Well, you can kind of see him talking normally, and he's preaching, but he's not doing that cadence kind of thing. He's not doing that kind of, well, DP, a few things. That's how he normally talks. You can kind of hear it. He just talks like a normal UK guy. This cadence that he puts on, this soothing cadence, it's all for that guilt and forgiveness cycle that Christians love to do to get people into it. It really is a put-on affectation in order to guilt people and then offer them some sort of forgiveness in order to get over the guilt that they've just tried to fabricate in them.
Okay, and I'll see you again.
People, first things, love yourself and give applause to yourselves. Come on, don't be so down. Come on, love yourselves, man.
Yeah, love yourself. And if you've got a spare bit of change, give it to DP for his dancing. Yeah, I'll be over there and I'll give you 1 penny. That's your way. I'm joking.
Yeah, so here we see him go back to his dancing, right? Like, so basically he's just what we call a busker. I don't know if you use the same term. He's just a busker, just doing dancing. And can I just say, like, how annoying would it be? You're a busker. You're trying to get everybody in a good mood. Just do your dance in your Deadpool outfit. You're trying to make money basically by busking. Nothing wrong with that. All good. And then this preacher comes next to you and starts shouting doom and gloom at people. It would be bloody annoying, right? Like, dude, take your hellfire and stuff and go somewhere else. Seriously, Deadpool's trying to make some money here. Like, come on, dude. What are you doing? What are you doing? And that's probably why he had such a big issue. Even though the guy doing the Deadpool dancing is religious, he's like, yeah, just don't talk about this horrible stuff. It's bumming everybody out.
By the way, if you would like to see more...
Yes, yeah. I don't know what countries that's in. That's our name for a street performer, you know, just someone who puts a hat down and does something on the street, from play a piano to, you know, Deadpool dance to whatever it may be, you know, sword swallowing, whatever people are doing on the street. It's just a busker is our word. And then we have the adjective, the verb to busk. Is that an Australianism or is that other places? I don't know. I don't know. No, there's a thing saying here a group began by busking on a Philadelphia sidewalk. It's definitely a roundabout thing, but yeah, busking is just sort of, you know, yeah.
more of my interesting interactions on the streets, click here.
Yeah, and that's where he got his start, from going out onto the streets and sort of doing Ray Comfort kind of things. He really loves Ray Comfort and doing sort of yelling at people about hell and stuff. So it really does, it translated into these doom and gloom videos, which have done incredibly well, and I'm sure he makes a ton off them. But really, you know, this whole thing, it descends into just ridiculousness. Like, you know, this whole thing about Marvel movies, boycott them because it's got a cross and he says he's Marvel Jesus. There's not, you know, I don't see, and the framing of it, you know. So consider the framing that he started with. The framing that he started with was, this movie made money because the devil got it out to all the people. Right? That was the framing that he had. The devil made this movie popular. The fear that he's trying to evoke is just incredible. And you sort of line it up with his other videos, sort of saying, hey, the movie industry, the fear, the song people. I think I did one where he was basically saying that Taylor Swift was a witch kind of thing. It's just more satanic panic. And the ironic thing is that was the time where X-Men comics were pushing back against the satanic panic kind of stuff, really pushing back against the idea that because somebody wasn't a certain thing, or looked different, or acted different, or had some kind of difference of opinion, that they were automatically evil and satanic. Now you might go, well, you know, you're reading into this in Marvel comics kind of thing. And I don't think that's the case, because I can point to things like someone brought it up earlier, Nightcrawler, who was created in 1975. Really throughout the 80s, he became a main staple of the X-Men comics. And the whole point of Nightcrawler, which was one of my favorite characters, the whole point of Nightcrawler was that he was a very devout Catholic who happened to look like a demon. That was the whole point, that he was a very good person, but people judged him because of the way that he looked. And that's all. So they were pushing back against this Christian narrative of this is the devil and that's the devil, and you know, that character is the devil just because of the way they look or how it appears to them. To judge by the person's character and not by what they look like or what they say. Really, so it's kind of ironic that he's pointing to X-Men and saying, oh, it's from the devil, when that's one of the things they actually did narratives pushing back against. You know, not to assume that everything's of the devil just because it looks or sounds that way. Like, actually look into what they're doing. But, you know, fundamentalists think that any of this stuff, you know, they can just point to this. And as Ryan Reynolds pointed out, it was more a joke about how egotistical and how sort of delusional Deadpool is in their series, that he thinks that he's some kind of messiah figure when he's not. He's really a very, very flawed character, like an incredibly flawed character. So I think that is a valid reason for using it. because we have seen people that think they're the reincarnation of Jesus. I saw a thing about a guy in Australia in Queensland, because it's always Queensland, who thinks he is Jesus. He has a cult there. He thinks he's Jesus. It's not so much sort of blasphemy intending to discredit the Christian church as just delusion. And I think that's a perfectly valid reason for that to be used. But they told me my Dungeons and Dragons was demonic. They told me my fantasy books. They even sort of said that children's movies were demonic. It's ridiculous. And I see a second satanic panic happening around America at the moment. As well as sort of panics about other stuff. There's the trans panic going on at the moment. It's not a big deal. It hasn't been a big deal for quite some time. It's not a big deal. The immigrant panic that they're spreading. It's all the same thing. It's all the same thing. Trump's doing exactly the same as Kirby is doing. It's create panic, create this sense of, oh, they're eating dogs and cats, and then I've got the answer for you. It's my wall or my border security or my dumbass immigration plan that probably won't work anyway. It's the same thing. It's the same old thing. Make them scared and give them the cure. It's the same old tricks. Don't fall for it. I liked Carmela talking about hope and let's build a better future together. It was hopeful. That's what we need, not this panic putting out there. But thank you much for joining me. I do apologize it wasn't that long. I will have a longer one next week, I promise. But thank you so much for joining me. Don't forget, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. If you want to make a joke about something, that's cool. As long as you're not hurting anybody, and as far as I know, Jesus isn't being hurt by this, and neither is the church. Churches and religions, Kirby is not right. They're not having their voice taken away. No one's taking away their voice. They've still got the entirety of the voice they always had. But any religion saying that you're not allowed to make a joke about the religion, I'm really sorry. It's nothing is that sanctified in our society that you can't make a joke about religion. Like, I understand if the jokes that you may are actively causing harm to somebody, but Christians aren't being harmed by this. Their outrage is entirely self-motivated. It is self-generating outrage. But thank you so much for joining me. Do have a fantastic day or night or whatever's happening there. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.